Hey guys, you really have to look under the hood with NVIDIA's earnings to understand why the stock went up in after hours. And by the time you dissect all the numbers, by that time the stock had already made its move. And that's why it's hard to short-term trade, especially around earnings when it's like gambling, because we know when companies beat, sometimes the stock can sell off. It can be a sell the news event. Or if they miss, like Tesla we saw when they had horrible numbers, but he said he's just coming back to the company, and that's all it took for the stock to rebound and just keep going higher. So that's why it doesn't always make sense, guys. It's like gambling. If you're trying to do it right around earnings, like buying before, right? Sometimes you get lucky, other times you don't. That's it. So that's why I always say go into earnings with a small position if you're short-term trading. But that's why it's so much easier being a long-term investor when you're holding quality companies. Like NVIDIA, you have nothing to worry about if you're holding long. This stock is gonna go higher one day, but everyone wants to try to time it, right? And get in at the right point and make as much money as possible before it drops again. But that, if you do that for a long time, it gets mentally exhausting and draining, guys. So like I said, if you can become a long-term investor, it's where it's at, because that's where you can make the exponential returns. And you just have to get used to holding through turmoil and uncertainty and fear. It's so hard to do when every day you hear negative news, like we saw from February to April when Trump held up the reciprocal tariff board and everyone was freaking out. Unfortunately, you know, the beginner traders are the ones that sell out in fear. But the longer you do this, the longer, or the quicker you realize, I should say, that stocks climb a wall of worry at some point. Sometimes it takes longer than we want, but they will eventually. We've gone through the Great Depression, Great Recession, so many things way bigger than what's going on now, guys. And I know some people say this time's different, but it's not. They'll return to all-time highs. We just don't know when. It could be, right? It could be sooner than we thought, right? It could be next month. It could be June. It could be end of the year. We don't know what's going to happen. The headline, the news, okay? But anyways, I expect stocks to continue to go higher after this, you know, federal block of reciprocal tariffs. Whether it goes through or not will be, you know, time will tell. But the point is that if NVIDIA is going up, the other stocks, the AI semiconductor stocks, will follow. And the rest of the market, for that matter, I looked at a lot of them, and a lot of them bounced in after hours. So that's a good sign. So anyways, back to NVIDIA. So that was one reason. The margins coming in better than feared. China charges coming in better than feared. And then also there are a lot of people betting against NVIDIA going into earnings. And so having to cover those short positions, another reason why the stock could go higher. And then people just know, again, NVIDIA is the picks and shovel play to this AI boom, okay? The gold rush. And now with Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates, you know, spending a lot of money for NVIDIA to help build out, that's going to be the growth driver. And then we're talking about robotics. We're talking about, you know, self-driving with the car side of their business with Omniverse, right? You like those brake lights in my face? And then also with quantum computing one day, you name it, they're going to lead the way. And remember, we want to keep listening to who NVIDIA is partnering with, because those stocks are going to go higher. We know any small cap or micro cap that has a collaboration initially shoots up to the moon, right? So those are the best plays if you catch that news in the morning, okay? And so we'll keep watching those guys. But like I said, I will give you the short-term trades, of course, when I see good setups. Always use RSI, but just remember, becoming a long-term investor, just following the Millionaire Maker portfolio is going to be so much easier for you.